everyone, it's Stéphane Pompin from Lux Talks podcast. We are live with episode 6 and I'm joined today by Virginie Scuvée from Kumquat. Virginie, thanks to be my guest today.
My pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Myself. It's could be a long story. I'm a coach. Even though it's not my identity, it's my job. Well, I'm a disruptive, creative, dynamic person who enjoys to question the world and question people and focus on possibilities. So that's what has led me to coach people. My core business is to help people developing their emotional intelligence. Tony Robbins says that it's the ability to communicate with yourself. And I think it's a nice idea, a nice way to see it. It's how you can master your emotion, how you can learn about how you perceive the world and how you react to situations, relationships, and so on, and how you can master that so that you empower yourself. And it's all about choosing instead of suffering or undergoing. As soon as you are aware of your emotions and you can manage them, then you can have more energy to focus on creating your life, creating your job, creating your projects. And I do that with individuals and in companies. And in companies, for example, it's about leadership or about resilience, which is a hot topic for the moment with the COVID. But individuals as well, because it's been, well, very tough for people to adapt during this lockdown. And some people were fearing or scared. And so it's all about how I can talk to myself to develop my inner peace, whatever happens outside.
And you've always been a coach, or how did you start? Did you start? Is it your own? You are alone coaching now, or is it your own company?
It's my own company. I've not been always entrepreneur. I started as a PA, personal assistant. I studied translation, started as a PA, was not a happy. To make the story short, I have done something like 10 years executive search with an executive search firm, and then it went on bankruptcy. So, I had to find myself something else. I was thinking about doing some outplacement. But when I went to meet some people who were owning an outplacement firm, I heard that I was not a manager, not even a coach, and that nobody wanted to hire me. So please take a coach training and then come back to me and I will see. Okay, so I took a coaching training and I enjoyed it a lot. It was like I plugged my brain back. Oh my God, my brain has been sleeping all these years. How did I do that? And it was a kind of revelation for me. And I decided not to work for somebody. And at the same time, when I got my certification, I lost the job I had at the moment, lost my husband. And I was without nothing from one day to the other one. So I took my baby under my arm and I went to the administration, getting a VAT, getting a commercial number, and I started like this. Poof. So it's been quite an adventure. I enjoyed it a lot, and I shared my time between coaching and executive search. First, executive search. Because it was easy. I was known, people were trusting me, so I could have some money. And then on the side, I was developing coaching until I understood that I had to be specific in what I wanted to offer as a coach. Because as I said, I'm disruptive, I'm creative, I'm out of the box, I want to do everything. but, but well, it's important to be identified as someone who can provide this service typically. And also, well, for myself to more and more identify what was making me vibrate in what I was doing in my job. So I took a coach, a mentor, spent 1.5 years to do that. And that's how I identified that my core business was developing emotional intelligence. That's my story.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying about, you know, coaching, and what I understand is that you have so many type of coaching.
Yeah.
Don't you think that it might be a problem now with the variety of coaches in different sectors, that you are named a coach? Because you could be, I mean, everybody's saying I'm a coach now. Some with, you know, they have the background to be like you, and some maybe less. You know, when I'm introduced to a coach, I'm like, oh, another coach. And I'm wondering if at one point, you know, some part of the coaching industry shouldn't change name a bit to be more specific.
Maybe well, there has been talks about how to regulate the profession, because indeed you don't need to have a specific training. You can just declare yourself, I'm a coach, and you're a coach, okay? And it's difficult to know if you have someone who has the training or is someone who has the inner quality, because some people have no training but are really good coaches. So it really depends on the person. I personally, I'm not an out that there are so many coaches, okay? I'm just, don't get me wrong, I'm not a pretender, but I'm who I am. So if people want to get to know me or know me, then they will recommend me or they will call me, and I don't feel threatened by the multiplicity of coaches. And well, people who would call someone else to discover that he's cheaper or he's not what I was looking for. It's an experience which is maybe necessary to get to me afterwards, because what I'm proposing is something I think that is a little bit more in depth than sometimes other coach or other professionals are proposing. And sometimes people are not ready for that, because it takes a lot to look inside yourself. Well, you know, it takes a lot to accept.
On my personal side, it took me a few years to accept that I needed to have somebody from the outside helping me. And you're right. If you're not ready, it doesn't work.
No. So, well, I'm a coach. I like this word. I wouldn't like it to be called another way. I really much identify to Tony Robbins' way of coaching, for example. And no, it's okay. There are a lot of coaches. There are a lot of ways to coach. Mm-hmm. As far as they are ethics, it's okay.
Yeah, and you are right that also what I've noticed is that if you are going to see a coach, sometimes it doesn't work because of personality and the way people are able to talk to another person. And you should be, you know, ready to change coach if it doesn't work with the one you are working with.
Of course.
It's like, you know, matchmaking. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And if you have the feeling, go for it. If you don't have it,
Just say.
Yeah, just say.
Just
Exactly.
say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about chemistry.
Yeah, yeah, especially with someone that is supposed to, ask you the difficult questions and push you out of your comfort zone and go into, personal thing. If you don't have any trust, any, the right feeling with the person in front of you, then it's not worth it. You're losing your time and yours as well.
Yeah, and your money.
Yeah, exactly.
As
Yeah.
well. But of course, there are some certifications and associations. Well, I wrote. No, I was interviewed, to be correct. I have been interviewed by Le Vort about that, about coaching, how to choose your coach and so on. It's still online. It's on my website for those who want to see it. It's quite well explained.
Okay. So yeah, I'll put the link into the comments if the people want to have more information. Just one question: why the name Kumquat? Why did you decide to choose that name?
Well, the story is, as I explained, I started from one day to another one without business plan, without anything. Just like, I got to do something, right? So I do it. And I had no money to create a company at that time. So I called my website askvirginie.com. I thought that, well, that's something nobody is going to steal from me. And then when it came to set up a business, I just wondered, wow, what name? I don't know. And I wanted to have a name which could be used for executive search and for coaching, and mixing the two, being a little bit creative, but not too much, because executive search, if you go and search about executive search firms, it's all about blue and very formal, like in finance, for example. So, well, and I didn't want that, but it should not be too sparkling either, because then I don't know how the client of executive search would react. So I called a communication agency and talked about myself, and they proposed that, saying it was orange. The color orange is the color of creativity, and kumquat is something like vitamins and so on. I don't know. Well, and I thought, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay,
that's how it became kumquat. But now I am shifting softly to start your life, start your business, start your job, so in French, enclenche ta vie, enclenche ton job, enclenche ton organisation. So I'm shifting softly. Okay. And I think it's going to be that, and kumquat will only be the legal structure of it.
It's interesting. It's why I'm often I ask the question about the name, because there is always a little story behind it. Most of the time, it's somebody who has been thinking about something, about family brainstorming somehow as well, like I did. And yeah, it's interesting to see that. What are the things that you did not expect when you started as an entrepreneur? Because for you it was, a big change in life, and of course, like you said, you didn't have maybe one of the things you didn't have money, but what you didn't expect in terms of maybe great things and more difficult ones?
The biggest surprise was that was my thing. I mean, I was raised by a teacher, and a mom who was staying at home, surrounded by people who were working in ArcelorMittal in Liège. So I had been told to go to university, get my degree, and then try to find a job in a company, international one if possible, and then stay there until my my retirement. And I had my hair like this when I was hearing that, but I couldn't identify why. It was something I didn't want, really. It was just like I wanted to scream, no, please, not that. And then it's only when I started as a freelance first that I understood how much it was my place and how much I was made for that. Unless, other surprise, which was not really a surprise, but it was a huge difficulty, is that I should have been like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, having someone on the operational side with me, because the biggest difficulty was to run what is not your core business, which is administrative tasks, which is commercial development.
Yeah. I don't know if you read that book. There is a book that is about how successful companies are run, and basically you have you have two heads. You have the guy that is creative and has new ideas and development and so on. But to be successful, you need as well to have on the other side someone who will be managing, putting things in order in boxes, and putting the machine on the right track. And so it's interesting what you're saying, that being an entrepreneur and a solopreneur like you are, having to do everything, where you are more creative than on a day-to-day running the business, that might be a bit difficult.
Yeah, it's been tough from time to time, and I hate it, to be honest. I really hate it. I'm currently thinking and putting down how can I find a solution for that. So the first solution was to tell my fiduciary that they had to do everything. And sometimes my accountant says, Mrs. Scuvée, you could do that. It's not very difficult, and it takes 5 minutes. Do it, please do it. But it's going to cost you. Yeah, okay, do it.
Yeah,
and she cannot understand me, but because it's her thing, but it's not mine. I mean, I should be paid just to produce new ideas. I would be billionaire. I get up in the night just because I have new ideas. I loved the confinement just for that, because suddenly everything was cut or put on hold. And I would just wonder, oh my God, what am I going to do now if there is no money here? And then in I don't know, one day, I just had 10 or 15 ideas, and I started to work on that.
Yeah,
and
I've seen that you're doing.
It's been nice.
On Facebook. Can you tell a bit about that? What you were doing every day with your live Facebook?
Yeah. So I started to hear from my friends and sometimes clients that it was a worrying period, and that it was difficult for them to deal with the anxiety, with I don't know, anxiousness. How do you say that in English? Well, anyway, fear, and also being locked down with a husband or wife or kids, and they were not used to that, and relationship-wise it was difficult, blah blah blah. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to propose half an hour every morning to just start the day with a reflection and a tool, a concrete tool, who could give them the opportunity to help them getting the fear down and be a little bit more peaceful inside themselves. I was doing it once a month, doing 5 days. I called it daily routine, and I just extended it. And I took the opportunity to talk about a lot of other tools that I have to manage your emotions, get empowered, choose instead of suffering or undergoing, and so on. And it finished, well, at the end, it was a 30-day webinar. And when I finished the first cycle, let's say, I launched the second one, and people were watching that as well. I received a lot of messages saying, well, it's nice and it helps me a lot, and so on. So, well, it's almost been becoming now a product, a new product. Was not expecting that at all. And it's, how do you say that? Mise en bouche. So appetizer or something of what I'm proposing in my seminar. I've got a 3-day seminar in November, December at least. How to find your place for your job. So start your new job, and how to find yourself, and how do you balance your life so that you feel more peaceful and you slow down maybe, and you put yourself in the center of your life so that you can be, how do you say that? You can be better or more open, more available for the other ones who are surrounding you, your colleagues, your family, your kids, your friends, and so on.
It's interesting what you've done, because basically during the lockdown it was a bit weird to sell, where some people were dying, some companies had difficulties, and the way you did it to offer something that at the beginning wasn't a service that you wanted to offer, but is also a way to promote yourself and what you are doing. So it's a kind of also of a nice selling tool that you've been using.
Yeah.
Because you show what you are providing as services, and then if people are interested, then they can buy or join you into one of your workshop later on, which it's nice to have done that, because it could have been a time where you would have disappeared totally, because customers were locked down as well, and by helping them, it helped you as well.
Yeah, true. And it was so spontaneous, and I liked it a lot. And I related to something I heard about a successful entrepreneur who said, well, he answered the question, how do you choose your project? And he said, I'm doing only what I find is fun. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it. If it's fun, I'm doing it, and it's successful. And it's exactly what I have done. It was fun. I just wanted to get in touch with people during these times. And well, I know my profile quite well because I've done it through all my trainings and so on. So I know it's my thing as well, to animation, promoting, being in front of public, and well, even the camera, whatever. So it was so easy for me. And it was so nourishing in some way that it kept me up. It's not only, well, even though I had no client after that, okay, it kept me alive during the lockdown. It offered me a way to structure my mind and to write down some more new webinars, new seminars, and so on. And it was 100% positive for me. And it has been positive for some people who, at least the ones who I know because they sent me a message saying, well, I like it, it's nice, you're sparkling, it's dynamic, and in these times of everything is fear, everything is dark, everything is death, well,
people
it's
needed
fresh.
positivity. Yeah, people needed positivity in
Yeah.
this difficult time. You're right. Coming back to your entrepreneur's life, what's one thing you wish you had known when you started as an entrepreneur that could have helped you to maybe grow faster or to do things differently?
I wish I had known my verb earlier. I'm explaining that. I have read somewhere, find the verb of your life, not the job of your life, but the verb of your life. So find what you want to do every day, what makes you happy. And that's not something I have been taught. As I said earlier, I think I chose my studies regarding what I was good at, languages, literature, but not regarding what kind of day-to-day I would have, or what could be the ingredients of my recipe. So I wish I had known that from the beginning, because what I'm doing now is exactly what is corresponding to who I am, what I am meant for. And I wish I had found it earlier. But at the same time, what I'm proposing today, and I think the power of my coaching is relying on my experience and all the different paths I took during my life, the consciousness I developed, the awareness of myself. And maybe it wouldn't be that powerful if I had found my place at the beginning, because all my failures, all my sufferings are part of the building, really.
Yeah, I think that I've heard that a lot, is that failure is part of helping to know who you are, but also if you choose something, a service or a product to sell that you really love, it's much better to help you set up a business, because if you do something that you don't like, you won't be 100% involved in your business, and it will be it's already difficult, but it would be even more difficult to do a correct job in building your business as an entrepreneur if you don't like what you're doing, or if you're not 100% sure that what you're doing, or the service you're offering is great.
Well, two more ingredients. One is tenacity.
Yeah.
You have to believe in what you want to bring to the world, and don't take a no for an answer. Okay, someone is saying, okay, just try again. And the second one is make sure the market needs it, because if you have, and I have met a lot of people like that, if you have a visionary something, if it's visionary, maybe it's not the right time, people are not ready. So find a way to make it accessible. And I think that's what has been difficult for me. It has always been about emotional intelligence, finding a way to master the emotions, and getting more energy to create your life instead of being, full of stress and so on. But it took me ages to find the right words and how to present it to people so that they could understand what it was first, and what it could bring to them. And the lockdown is a kind of benediction for me, I have to admit. I mean, now people know, oh, okay, I understand what resilience is. I know that the world is going to change all the time. How am I going to deal with that? Well, come to me.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been saying that you have people that really use the time to think about themselves and what they want to do with their life, personally or professionally. And it has been really a great, useful time to not be pushed by day-to-day work. Of course, not for everybody, but for a lot of people, which I think is really interesting. And people use the time properly to build different things. So I hope we'll have nice, interesting outcomes in the coming months coming out of that.
Yeah, I hope that I will be able to help a lot of people because, well, it's really meaning for me.
Yeah.
And
So what advice would you give someone who would want to be a coach like yourself? If they should go for it at all, or if they should really think about it. What's your advice on that?
I just want to make the difference between people who are getting to coaching because they are fed up with what they are doing. Mm-hmm. So they think that they suffered from this or that. And so they take a coaching training or decide to just, set up a coaching business, saying, I'm going to help people who have this or that, like I have. Or people who are choosing this career because they think they have something, they want to do something else. Mm-hmm. So I'm fed up with accounting, so I'm going to be a coach and help people. That makes sense. Okay, but are you meant for that? Really? Just making the difference between, am I choosing a coach business because I really think I'm meant to be, or do I choose coaching because it doesn't make any sense what I'm doing now? And let's try coaching and help people. No, find your verb again.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. If you are meant to be coach, then find your specialty, find your identity, and really, really take the time, please. And don't think it might be easy, but it might not be easy because even though you have a coaching training and you have worked on yourself, let's say, you are still full of beliefs, still of confusions, judgments about yourself, about your family. Maybe you have a lot of obstacles inside yourself, and take a coach, address them, and then you will find clarity, and then you will find your identity. And once you've got your identity, people recognize you and they come to you. And you don't have to do cold calls because people know you, they identify you, and it's much easier. So there are a lot of very good coaches who can accompany you to do that. I personally took a coaching during month, and then I asked my coach, I'm just wondering, do I name him, or I'm not maybe allowed to do, because he's wonderful. I asked him to spend one day. I knew he was offering this service, so we spent one day just brainstorming about my vision, my mission, my identity, what I wanted to bring to the world, and what would be the first steps. It's been just amazing. and I have done it last year. I mean, so I'm a coach since 10 years. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I could have done it earlier, but at the same time, I could also talk about multiple hats. Huh? I started when my son was 9 months. My eldest was 5 years old. I was a single mom, and well, how do you develop a business when you lost your husband and you are a single mom? I had no time. I had no energy, and but I found my own path.
yeah, I
And
think there's not one single path, and you shouldn't regret
no,
what you've done in the past. And I think you just need to keep all those failures and difficulties or things that you did wrong as part of your growth.
yeah,
And, I mean, like you, I should have taken, a transition coach much earlier than what I did before losing my job. I should have, maybe taken a mentor earlier as well, but I did when I did it, and it helped when I needed it as well. So it's part of everybody's path to choose what they want to do as well.
yeah. It's part of your own education,
Yeah, big part. Yeah.
and it's part of being ready is very important. You can oblige someone to do something or to be aware of something. It's one of the first thing we are taught in the coaching training. Help, but not save.
Yeah.
And if the person is not ready, is not ready.
Yeah.
He might, and he might never, or she might never be ready for. Okay. Mm-hmm. As a coach, you're not a saver. So yeah, to wrap up,
you're just here to give the keys. Yeah, you have to give you give the keys, but if the person doesn't open the door, that's too bad. But that's not your fault. People should open their own doors. You just give them the keys to do it.
Yeah, and I would even broaden the keys metaphor to whatever, not a key, but whatever is a good tool to open the door.
Yeah.
Not only a key.
Yeah, it can be your foot.
Yeah, why not? I mean, yeah. It's what's working for the person.
Yeah. On a more personal side, what is a passion of yours that you normally don't share with people?
I share a lot of with people. Passion. My job is my passion now. So usually, and I'm that kind of person. It's really part of myself. When I am passionate about something, I want to share it. So I'm sharing quite a lot.
What are you doing
I'm passionate about. Sorry.
What are you doing outside of work for personal things? I know that you are really involved in your job, but still.
Yeah, no. Well, but it happens to be my passion. I'm sorry. I'm reading books. I love to walk in the woods. I think it's really important. I made one of my webinar about this topic. Is that I think that in our day-to-day life, we are cut from the nature, from the living, let's say. And walking is not only a way to be in contact with the living, but it's also a way to sort your thoughts, and God knows I need it. But put your body in movement as well, make your energy circulate. It's really good. And I have quite a nice view here. I'm just in the border of the woods. I mean, so it's easy for me. I know it's not always easy for people, but that's one thing I do, and I do not every day maybe, but at least I'm walking once a week.
Yeah.
I'm doing some Krav Maga and I like it very much.
Yeah, I've seen
I
that you've done that online. I saw
well,
that.
I have, yeah, I have. Well, it's been 3 weeks. I can't assist to any Zoom because I've got a search for the moment. So interviews are happening in the evening. So I'm missing my classes. But yes, I need to, not to get the stress out, but to get the energy out. If I'm not doing that, I don't sleep really well. I like it very much. It's something that, well, I don't know. When I'm doing it, it's like when I was a little girl playing with Playmobil. Nothing happens around me. I'm just in my bubble. So I like it very much. It's
Cool.
could be a passion if only I could allocate more time to develop myself in that sport. Would be great, but well, I can't.
Yeah, but it's good to have a balance and use
Yeah.
some free time for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, like you said, walking, doing any kind of sport, because even if your work is a passion, if you're only involved in your work, then it's more difficult to have the great ideas, like you said, because you need to get out and
Yeah.
to reflect on yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lastly, what are you gave some already, but what are your 2, 3 best tips or advices for our listeners who wants to launch their business, whatever business it is?
Mm-hmm. So ensure it's what you're meant to do, and don't hesitate to take a coach, and don't take me if you want to. If you think that I'm advertising for myself, take someone else. But please take someone to help you, or a mentor, someone who's been through that. So make sure you're meant to that. Make sure well, identify what are your blind spots. Okay. Some people like me are very creative and good sales maybe, or good in relationship at least, but not good at administrative. Some people are completely reversed. So well, make sure that maybe you get help from people who are covering your blind spots, because you're going to spare yourself a lot of time and a lot of stress, fears, money.
Yeah.
Make sure you identify what is your core business, what is your core services or service. And then if you want to do a lot of things, you can do them, but you just introduce yourself with your core one, and then once the relationship is installed with your client, and then you can say, oh, well, I'm doing that as well, it's fun. Okay. And well, there is something that I have read in Jim Collins' Good to Great or Built to Last, well, whatever, about who were the leaders, who were the winners, the good ones. They spent time for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that led me to the coaching. I was welcoming people who were interviewed in the executive search firm, and well, until they got the interview, they stayed with me and we chatted. And they opened up to me and explaining they had no time for themselves. So they were working too much. When they had time, they were, grabbed by their wife or husbands, but mostly wives, kids, and never for themselves. And then it creates a kind of frustration, and it's not balanced. And when you exchange with these kind of people, they don't even take the time to eat sometimes, or to sleep enough. And in Jim Collins' books, he identifies successful leaders are people who are able to decide what is good for them once a day, And for some people it was okay, I'm having a pause from 12 to 2, no meetings, it's for me. One of them was had decided at 5 o'clock every day he was having a walk with his dog, for example. Whatever is your routine, but take time for yourself. You can't be performant. You can't be balanced if you don't take care of yourself. It's like in the planes. They explain, moms, if the oxygen masks are getting down, just put it to yourself first and then to your kids. Because if you have more than 3 kids, by the time you are installing them to your kids, you're dead. It's the same.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't take into consideration the fact that to be able to perform, they need to take care of themselves, and they forget about the work-life balance and spending. Maybe they have a passion, which is perfectly right, and they are developing a new company, and they have to work hard for it. But don't forget about personal things. It's why I'm always asking about the passion, because you have or something that you do outside of work, because it's important as an entrepreneur to have a balanced life and not to be doing only work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So if our listeners want to connect with you, what is the best way to do that? And we'll put it into the info in the podcast note.
Okay. So you want me to say?
Yes.
Okay. It's my worst hour of the day. And I woke up at 5 today. I had too many ideas, so I had to get up and write them down. Well, they can contact me through LinkedIn if they want to. I've got a Facebook, Kumquat SARL. I've got a telephone number, which is, shall I give it?
No, I'll put it
You're right.
the comments. Okay. No problem.
So, whatever. Always, if it's in an emergency, always prefer the LinkedIn messages or a text or whatever with my number, because my emails, it's
crowded.
No, it's not crowded. No, but I tend not to open it all the time.
Yeah.
To be able to focus. So if it's an emergency, then well, it's you might not get an answer right away.
Yeah, and we were talking about your live. You are still doing that. You're live on Facebook. Are you still doing it?
Not right now. The last day was the 25th, I think, something like that. I'm planning to start a new one on the 15th. I want to advertise a little bit before I start a new one. And I'm wondering if I'm not going to organize different series. So instead of doing 30 days, I'm going to do 5 days of this, 5 days of that, so that people can pick up what they want to.
So you'll do that on Facebook, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm also thinking, because maybe some people want to interact. So Facebook doesn't really give the opportunity to do that. Well, they can post messages, but they come too late, and so I'm also thinking about it. But it could be a Zoom. But I think that most probably on Facebook, because it's easy to set up. It's easy access, and I really want people to have it easy to view it on a replay mode, because people are not connecting or at 8 o'clock. I mean, or 1 or 2 usually, and then the 30 rest. Well, they do it when they have time, and that's what's nice, because they can replay it as much as they want. And it's always interesting to do that.
Yeah, so I will advise people that you know, if they want to learn more about what you're doing, they should connect on the Facebook page, and they can watch, you know, the recording you did in the past, and when you'll set up, you know, new modules, then they can have access as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot for joining the podcast, Virginie. I really enjoyed our discussions, and
thank you too.
thanks a lot.
Bye bye.